What's up, YouTube? I'm doing an update video for you guys. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to do one a week ago. Sorry, I've been busy with a lot of things, but let's see the progress on my little cheapy, rinky-dink aquaponics setup. It's my first time working with aquaponics or any form of hydroponics, and pretty impressed about the growth of these plants with this little setup. So let me show you what I got. Fish are still doing pretty well. The little guppies. I gotta do a little clean on the sides because I'm building up a little bit of algae. I did one a few days ago, but I have a little piece of anacarus that's been growing in there, and I don't want it to die, so I gotta clean that algae so that it can get some sunlight too. But let me just show you the plant growth. I had to reset the 4 plants in their my cotton ball substrate, and that's probably why some of them look a little bit lower. Don't think that they haven't grown. They have. This one here, that's forming its aquaponics or hydroponic type roots, or root. I thought it was interesting that this one in particular only has one root growing, but you can see, if I can get a better picture here, that up here near the top it's growing little buds. So those are going to sprout roots soon, apparently, as long as this plant lives and thrives. Let me show you the next one. This one here was the smallest one the last time you saw it. It didn't have any of this going on. It didn't even, I was afraid that this one wasn't even gonna start to grow, because when I initially planted it in the pot, because I started these off with in soil, the seedlings, it didn't sprout. The other 3 that were planted, or I should say the other 2 that were planted, sprouted, and then this one didn't. And I initially planted this one in this one's place, and then they both sprouted together at the same time, which I thought was interesting. But you can see its root system starting to get a better focus here. Do its thing. Starting to grow sprouts of roots. And here we go. This guy, he was starting to, or she, hopefully it's a she, was starting to show signs of lack of iron, yellowing in the leaves. So I got a little iron supplement to drop in there for it. One that was comparable for both the fish and the plants. If you have any questions about that, you can leave them in the comments, and I will let you know exactly the iron supplement that I use. It's one designed for fish mainly. So I know there's at least 2 that I know of, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head. I have it in the cabinet and I don't want to leave this. So I'll let you know in the comments if you desire to know. There's a bunch of different ones, and a lot of people use different ones, and they all seem to work, so I don't think that's really important. But look at the root system on this guy. I was afraid I was going to lose this plant, and it just took off. It just took off as soon as I put the iron supplement in it. And hopefully it will continue to thrive. And this is a very small setup. I only have them in here because they're small for now, but if they start to really grow, which I think this one, I feel a lot of promise in this one, and I will move them into a more conventional type sized setup. This guy is the most impressive to me out of all of them because its root system, even though its leaves did not show abundance as this one, this root system has always seemed to be sprouting the fastest. Look how much aquaponics or hydroponic roots have grown since then. It's so much that it's even wrapping itself around, and I might have to try to figure out a way to fix that with this anacris plant that's in the water with the fish. But that's just the just to let you know the progress, how they've been going, and this little cheap setup. And like I said in my last video, you can check it out. I'll put a link in the comments for the last video. Hope you guys like the videos. Give as many comments as you can and as many likes. But that's what's going on with it. I still have the price tag on this Tupperware, which is only $2, but everybody knows you can get Tupperware for cheap. You can get a pack of them for like $5. With these little cheap solo cups, and cotton is cheap, everything is cheap. This is absolute. I haven't seen anything anywhere on YouTube or on the internet as low budget as this. And I live in a studio apartment, so I thought that was very this might help a lot of people that might have a desire like I did for the hobby to just get involved with it. You know, I don't think that it really matters if it's a major success, because people like me in my situation, I'm not trying to grow to feed myself. This is mainly just, my spare time. I want to see how it works, and I like the way nature is, animals and plants and humans and the earth, and how the whole biosphere works. This is basically that's what this is a biosphere setup. And it's a symbiotic relationship between the fish, the living organisms, multiple cell organisms, and the plants. And I think it's phenomenal. I like to watch it, and I like to have a little piece of it in my house. I got a lot of flack because I posted this video on a few different forums, and people were telling me that it was abuse of the fish. I initially had 6 guppies in here. They all seemed happy, but now I pulled 3 out and put them in a different container so they had more room. And I left 3 in here, 2 females, 1 male. These 3 guppies are still alive. The 3 that I put in a separate container, and I know how to take care of fish. I've had aquatic setups for years. I've maintained aquariums. I've had 150 gallon saltwater, all that stuff. So it's amazing that these fish are thriving in this setup. But when I relocated the other half, they didn't make it. Even though I had got a lot of flack on the forums about having the fish in such a small environment, saying that it was stressful for them. And maybe they're not the happiest they can be, because no matter what, even if you have them in a 10-gallon tank in your house, or 20-gallon or whatever, it's not a pond or a lake where they initially come from. So they seem to be functioning fine and happy. They eat. And hopefully I'm expecting to see I guess a brood, if you would call it that, of babies. So we'll see. We'll do another update. But I'll show you this other setup that I recently purchased. I went on Craigslist, and I seen this setup on Amazon. And like I said, I gotta stay small because I'm in a studio. But let me show it to you right now. It's the back of the roots. back to the roots. A lot of you probably have seen it before in the past. It seemed to not have a lot of positive reviews. Um, and I think that's probably contributed to the fact that the majority of people that buy setups like this, probably do not have a lot of experience with aquatics and aquatic life. So they would lose. This guy that bought this, he told me that the fish died within a couple weeks, and so he just gave up on the idea. And right now I have a few betas in there and a couple of Cory cats. I had a male in here. I have 3 females now. I had a male, and they decided to whoop on him. I don't know why, so I had to quarantine him. I need to get another tank for him because right now he's just in this vase, which I had to just make sure because I didn't want him to die. The other male that was in there before they killed him, I assumed. I thought he died from just, sometimes you just lose a fish. But I put this guy in there and they beat him up real bad. You can't really see too well if I can get a good angle on it. But they ate a lot of his fins. And, I guess that's what women likes to do to men. But let's throw a little joke in there. I have this set up. I initially was gonna put those plants in here and put maybe a grow light, but I think I'm gonna end up having another whole tank altogether for these plants in this small Tupperware if they thrive. And I'm just gonna use this for live fresh herbs because my girlfriend likes to cook with fresh herbs, so I'm gonna set them up in here. Some parsley and some basil, maybe some thyme, oregano, even if I can find some cilantro. You like to use fresh herbs when she cooks. So as you can see, I put a lot of anacris in this setup, and these fish are doing great. And just to let you guys know, I bought this 2 days after I set up that aquaponics, and initially it was for the guppies, but they died, and I don't know why. Maybe this just was their time. But I got these betas pretty much right after the next day, and they've been in there ever since. So a little bit over a week, and I will continue to try to give updates on how they're doing. Just a little side note, and this is a theory of mine. A lot of people that I have seen have been reading in their posts on different forums about their aquaponic setups. I've been seeing lately a lot of people losing fish and not understanding why. And you got to do your nitrate level checks, and they have to have a natural bacteria. There needs to be a balance that comes with this stuff. It happens. It doesn't happen right away. It happens over time, where eventually the ecosystem that you're setting up, the biosphere itself, it becomes balanced, and you have the right amount of plants for the right amount of animals, for the right amount of waste that's being put into the water, for the right amount of nutrients that's being absorbed by the plants. That didn't happen right away. It's not going to happen right away. So initially, for the first week, I did a partial water change for both the Tupperware and for this other new system that I set up. Even though there's no plants in there in the actual substrate, it has the anacris, which is also a plant that's going to be removing the toxic waste that would end up killing the fish. And I believe you still have to do your water changes, no matter what, no matter how many plants you have in your setup. It still helps make the fish more healthier to do a partial water change in your aquaponics setup. And I don't think I've never seen any of that before in aquaponics, but just from my knowledge on dealing with aquatic life, you have to do it. There's no getting around it when it comes to building an ecosystem in your house. So that's just my input, and I hope it works. It's my first time doing aquaponics in general, or hydroponics, so I'll continue to give updates if I can, and I hope this video helps. Again, give the likes if you can, and any comments, whether you have any, all comments welcome, negative, positive, whatever. If you think that you can make it better, if you have any ideas, I'm open to it. So just let me know, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.